Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. Now, iRacing has a new car, the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. It also has a new track, a Hungaroring. And it's reminded me of something else. Another simulator that involves GT3 cars. And before we get into trying out the new iRacing version of the track, let's have a look at the version that is there for us in ACC. Gonna go with the budding grime artist's car that myself and Max drove in Mizante's Wavy World Tour. Default aggressive because I'm only going to be using baseline in iRacing, so it's closest that we can get. Let's try out this car track combo. Take my seat out of slight recline mode. And around the final corner and across the start finish line. Now there are several things I want to say before we actually get on with the lap. Firstly, I'm not using time as a way of measuring it because at the end of the day, whilst these are both laser scans and in both cases they try to be realistic with data from the manufacturer, the way that they bop things is different. The iRacing's bop is for balanced performance, which I'll explain as we go around this lap. It works as such. The balanced performance is a way that you can try and keep all cars relatively balanced, so that maybe there's one that's slightly better at one track, but then it's going to be worse at another. And typically that means that it's got like less turbo boost, or more turbo boost, or a bigger or smaller fuel tank. In ACC it does it track by track. Each track gets assigned to a group, and those groups have got particular bops. With iRacing, it's one size fits all. So the balanced performance is the same across every car. And every track, so it's just like a kind of one size fits all thing. But what I'm mainly looking for is looks, sound, and feel. So what I'll do now, we're up to pressure. Tyres are slightly below where I'd want them to be, at just shy of 27 psi. I'm going to mute my mic and let's go for a proper runner test. That was alright. There's definitely more time than I could find in it, but yeah, all I can say right now is I don't think I've actually driven a GT3 round here in the dry, especially in racing circumstances. I've driven GT4s around here before, and in the F1 game, of course, not a laser scan recreation like this is. I'm pretty sure F1 is still largely handcrafted with their tracks. Yeah, and Porsche Super Cup I've driven around here before as well. But I haven't driven this combo in the dry before, because the last time I did it was in the wet. I made a brilliant move into turn 1 and got wiped out by somebody who was annoyed that I'd made that move into turn 1. Public lobbies, you know how it is. But yeah, let's, as I bring it close to this lap, let's load up iRacing. I'm currently still installing the update for iRacing that brings in these two pieces of content, as well as other bits including a new Porsche car. Yeah. Let's see what this final lap is going to be. Will I get into the 46s? Probably not now. Just scuffed up the Filchwood corner. It'll be a 47 dead. Yeah.
Well done, mate. That's all the best.
Let's see what iRacing has on offer. And here we are. Hungaroring with the Ferrari 2020. Got a Aramco sponsorship, so it's what an F1. And straight away I could tell you differences in the look and the sound. I can hear the brakes more. You know, in ACC you usually hear the brakes more profoundly when you're stepping on the brakes. You can hear the turbo noises a lot more. Like the much higher up in the mix, you can hear the wind. Or, I guess the air. It kind of sounds like wind. Turn 4 feels a bit different. I think the only measurable get is when I finally get to driving this thing on the track. It does count as an off-track, but doing a slowdown for it. But the curbs aren't there for it, so I'm pretty sure they've got in the real-world version as well. The real-world version. In the real-world equivalent of Hungaroring. And you don't feel the curbs particularly much, but then that's kind of the thing with iRacing. It has an ethos where we're looking up a lot more in the baseline setup in this thing. Yeah, F1 sponsorship boards. The ethos that it has is just that it wants to simulate the car more than the tracks. The track effects you don't have. Anyways, let's see what happens when we go out for a lap. The other problem is you have on the default setup, I've got a half tank of fuel. 40 litres isn't going to make much of a difference, especially at my caliber of skill. But in terms of confidence it does, because out of the box I'm not pushing this as much. But I'm also not feeling as on the edge. I think we might see that reflected in the timesheets though. Again, like I said earlier, a few hours earlier, because I've had to wait for the update to finish and then to download it, which took a while for some reason, and then the servers were crashed and Had to verify updates, install more updates, and had to go onto the website instead of the launcher. Optimal of 48.9. It's not much slower. That's just right out the box. I reckon I could recoup that in the next corner. But I already did 2 flyers earlier, I'd say. Let's see what this flyer does. Different braking mark for turn 1 because it's not just a patch of tarmac. Now we're looking towards 48 flat. Brake at the curb here. Going down to first through turn, technically turn 2. Some people might say it's turn 3. Some might say on the circuit it's turn 3, and this is turn 4, and I'm going off. Goodbye. Let's see what happens anyways, because it wasn't really a time game, because I was doing everything to try and make it, especially with that there. And that was a time game. But again, for me, difference is really negligible. It shows that some bits of this track limits are still very harsh instead of using the new 4-tyre rule. That was 4 tyres though. That doesn't seem to evoke the racing gods though. Around the final corner, and what will we get? I've got damage on the front right now as we go across the line. 27.6, but for a brand new car on a track that in this state I haven't driven, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to keep driving around and give my reflections. This lap isn't going to be particularly pushy, but what do I think? Well, in terms of sound, I think this would be better if I had proper surround. I've got stereo in my earphones. So, yeah, I think it would be more immersive in iRacing if I had surround sound. In terms of graphics, ACC use of Unreal Engine is just, for me, much more preferable. It feels a lot more realistic, you know? And likewise for handling. Like, one of the things that's, when you compare these 2 titles for GT3s, comes up time and time again, is just the way that the cars feel. And it's because ACC simulates the effects on the road, so you're more likely to feel when you push it over the curbs like I am. Whereas for me, it's not. It's more accentuated by the fact I'm on a G29 gears that I can feel the curbs, because force feedback isn't going to be as direct or as fine either. I said I wasn't pushing, and I've got even faster. Yeah, all in all, still enjoyable, still a lot of fun. I've set a 17.430, which is quite nice for a Ferrari, no a 430. And I've just done a Bottas, apparently. Yeah. Look forward to giving these both some running on the platform. I'd say, in terms of, if you ask me to say what title I prefer the combo in, I would say ACC. But that's just because, for me, the way I've got everything set up, it's more immersive to do it on that title. And more engaging. So like I said, with this, because of the way the force feedback is set up, you don't feel the car as much. You don't feel as connected to the car as you do in ACC. Which means that, like you see a couple of times, I can make mistakes that I probably wouldn't do as much in ACC, such as over the curbs. Or do something like that, because I'd be more likely to just spin. Yeah, on that note, as I've got another off track, got my Optiwood to the 46s. Thank you all so much for watching and for joining on this video. Hope to see you around. Bye-bye. For now.